argumentative discussion this week.
Oh.
Again, I'm
This
blaming
one
Robert.
minute for you tonight, did you?
No.
Please, Roy. I'm
No,
not
you're
giving out to you
Thomas.
now. I'm not going to pull you up on anything, right? But the guy's name that we were talking about, he's Nigerian, the Ghent guy, right, is Tulu Arokodera.
That's not who I read.
Butchered.
Arokodera.
Who-
They're using it as Swiss
Did you
guy.
make that up?
That sounds made
No,
up.
it didn't. No, it didn't make it up. I'm probably butchering his name now. But he's, do you know who he reminds me of?
Oh,
What do you call that guy? Agbonga Horn. You know, that he should be a basketball player. You know, he's really tall. He's really, really tall. 6'3" or 6'4" or something like that.
no.
I don't know if
Can you
I
show me
can't
something?
pronounce his name. Say it again.
It's not Jasari.
What?
Arden Jasari.
That's
No.
not
That
what
was
you
just
said the
wrong.
first time. What's the crack? Welcome back to the Irish Voice. Another edition for our YouTube channel. Catching up this week on 3 topics that we want to get through, starting with rumours and bullshit with Jackie Maggs, then on to Manchester United's lack of progress, and then finishing up with just a roundup of what's going on in the world of football. I'd like a wee chat about the Club World Championship, everyone's game. So first off, rumours and bullshit. I can start this week's, okay? So I read today that Andre Onana is not leaving Manchester United, which means that Emi Martinez is not coming to Manchester United. How do we feel about that?
I think there's bigger issues in the squad.
Yeah.
I think
He is
I
big
don't know.
enough issue, though, on his
he
own.
is, but I think
Is he the single biggest issue though?
No.
not my opinion.
Why?
I think what they're doing now is going after the goals, which
Yeah.
was the severe issue last year. Well, the biggest. There's lots of issues, but I think to get add goals to the team. You know, if you can put, like you said last week, where like if you put a decent defense in front of Onana, you know, we have a
But
few
they can't
common.
get it. It's the same
defenders.
defense and the same goalkeeper can.
Aye, but if you said we said before, we have some like competent defenders there. You know,
But they didn't do it
If-
last season, so what'll change next season?
goals. I just
But
said
how
that.
many goals? Manchester United are 13th in the league for goals conceded. In terms of
We'd score more than the opposition.
Yeah.
that'll not happen. That's mental. That is just that is
But you're
It's
asking.
philosophy, actually.
Manchester United fan
If we
flawed
have to
logic.
suffer, if we have to suffer Onana for another season, right? We're bringing players in. We're obviously trying to get a striker that can add goals compared to Rasmus Højlund at the moment. Finally getting Mbeumo in this week. We hope to pray to God. It's been a month since it was announced that he chose Manchester United. Cunha's the only one that's done. Do you know what I mean?
I think
But-
Manchester United, if those are the 2 signings, and Manchester United cannot sign a goalkeeper or improve the defence, they'll finish bottom half of the table.
Yeah.
How does Mbeumo and Cunha all of a sudden move us closer to Arsenal, Liverpool, City? It's 2 great signings. I'm not degrading them. But in the grand scheme of things, they're undone. I honestly think Cunha and Mbeumo will be fantastic players for Manchester United, right? But I think we have shot ourselves in the foot now because we've gone for Cunha and Mbeumo and it'll not make a difference. Because
It
we
will,
can't.
Rory.
But how
It'll
does it
definitely make a
stop?
difference.
How does it stop us leaking goals? How does 2 forwards in the 10 position
Yeah,
stop us?
I agree with you, but I agree with Kieran.
Agree, yeah.
Our biggest problem last season was lack of goals. And those 2
Right, well-
players on their own have scored, 35 Premier League goals between them?
Let's take 2 instances of Manchester United's biggest games last season, okay? Well, I'll go for the Lyon game. How many goals do we concede?
4,
How many goals do we score?
5.
Now, how would Cunha and Mbeumo have decreased the amount of goals we conceded?
Yeah, but we're still one.
I don't know
goal
that.
scored.
You don't know that.
They would not. But how would they? Tell me how. I'll stop talking here. You tell me how Cunha and Mbeumo would have stopped Lyon scoring 4 goals last season, and I'll completely eat my words in Andre Onana.
They wouldn't
That
have. But we
wouldn't
would
have,
have.
but that-
In the end, we scored more goals than they did. And that's
Yeah.
what football is. You score more goals than the opposition, you win the match.
So you're telling me that Manchester United are setting out next season to tackle every game in the Premier League as if it's the Lyon game, where we can suffer Andre Onana at the back because Man United, if they concede 4 goals or Onana drops the ball in the back of the net, or we can see they're going to score 5 goals to compensate that.
No, we're not saying that.
No,
That's
we're not
silly.
saying that.
But the thing is,
was-
that these 2 players are proven goal scorers. Now, you 2 boys have played football. If you go ahead in the match, the momentum is with you. That has been our problem last season as well. The
Putting things away.
opposition have scored 9 times out of 10 first before we have. And it wasn't for the creating chances, it was putting the ball in the back of the net. And those 2 players are proven goal scorers. As Fergie said, they score 3, you score 4.
Exciting football.
Exactly.
If Cunha and Mbeumo were the only players that went into Manchester United's team last season, do you believe we would have finished in the top half of the table?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Not much higher, but
I think that's maximum. I tell you what, who would they have overtaken? Who the team?
I don't.
We'll go for the best of the rest, right? Do you think if they had Cunha and Mbeumo, they would have been better than Brighton?
Yeah.
Really?
Really? Yes.
Yeah.
Based on what?
Based on the 2 lads' performances last season. They had standout performances last season. Proven goal scorers. I think Mbeumo scored more than Cunha. But then
20 on assisted
Wolves are
7.
struggling as well as us. But I think they will. I think
it's
they
a
will
hope.
make a massive, massive difference to the attack.
Okay, well, we'll not spend the entire podcast. I wholeheartedly disagree with both of you. I think that's madness, but we'll see who is proven right on that. I think we're Ten Hag. And again, I remember when we started this podcast and we sat last season, and there was the whole thing, there was the faux optimism, and this is going to be different, and this player adds this, Matthijs de Ligt do this, and you're not recognising, and it was bullshit, and I knew it would be bullshit from the start. I knew it was not enough, and that there were the wrong signings, and there were. And it was the wrong players in the wrong management system, and it fell flat on its face after all the arguing we did last summer. And I'm just going to state it now, guys. I think that Man United are in trouble next season because I don't see us signing a centre back to use. Like, without being overly negative, do you see us bringing a centre back in? I don't think it'll happen.
There hasn't been any. There hasn't been any discussion of any centre backs apart from
maybe gossip columns.
Yeah,
the young for the future. That from Southampton.
They're signing some brilliant, cracking prospects. I
Brilliant.
mean, their recruitment at the minute is on fire. It really and I think that's the Jason Wilcox effect. It's good in that sense. But sorry, just to make this final point, I don't think it'll be a centre back. Okay, I think the left back is Pedro Leon and Dorgu, which is a very attack-esque type of setup for that left wing. And I think on the right wing, we might see Amad Diallo shift out there a lot more to compensate for Mbeumo being put into the team, because I think Diallo starts, but I think he'll be right wing back. And then you'll have Mazraoui in deputising more in that right back sense, and whether they keep Diallo or not and allow Mazraoui to dual role, we'll see. But all this to say, I don't see defensive reinforcements coming to United bar Pedro Leon, and Andre Onana is going to change. So for me, the issues are still there, and I don't think Cunha and Mbeumo will sort that. It wasn't just Andre Onana last season. I thought in spells the defence were really poor. I thought the right side conceded possession and got beat 4-2. I thought they looked a bit at 6s and 7s from set pieces as well. We have a real weakness on crosses into the box where our defence and our fullbacks can't. And I just to your point, Mum, I just don't see how that translates into a better footballing team because we get 2 attacking players.
I hope for next season that our injury record is better with the defence are concerned, because there wasn't a solidified defence, there wasn't a consistent defence, if you know what I mean, with personnel, because Harry Maguire was in and out, Matthijs de Ligt was in and out, Mazraoui was put in centre back in some incidents, some matches. Lenny Yoro was injured for the start of the season. So if we can keep that defence consistent with its consistent personnel, it will make a difference.
You won't. It's not the modern game. I've not seen in
but recent our centre backs now?
Injuries to major football players in major footballing teams as I've seen in the past 2 seasons. So I'm not being flippant and condescending saying you won't. I truly believe you won't. I don't think in the modern era you can expect your starting backup, your starting backline, or your starting midfield to be fit for an entire season. They will pick up injuries and players will have to shift in and out. and I don't know if it's fixture congestion, mum, or a result of the over fitness of the modern game. But more and more, we're seeing these teams break down. It's almost reversed now, where if a team makes it through a season with their full 11, you're sitting going, God, they were really lucky, weren't they?
Yeah. It is lucky, and I think to your point there, I think it is common assumption that you will at times have a player out in midfield, defence, wherever it is. You know, you've really bad luck. And sometimes in seasons gone by, we have 3, 4, 5 starting players out for an extended period of time, not just for a week or two with a knock or whatever it may be. I think that's kind of
like the Martinez
what Jacqueline's trying to allude to there. I think, and I agree. If we can keep the best defenders we have, the core, you know, reasonably fit, you know, you're going to get a knock. You're going to get a player or two out for a couple of weeks. Fine, you know, we should have decent enough backup at this stage to cope for deal with it for a couple of games, and then get back to the whoever the manager wants as the first choice.
But I
quickly as possible.
I think the only long-term injury we had in that back line last year was Lisandro Martinez, was it not? I feel like we're in a loop again where it feels like the Rafael Varane argument we used to have. Well, if Rafael Varane was fit, then he would sort the back line, and then Rafael Varane was fit. He didn't sort the back line.
No.
Who was injured at the back end last year? Who are we saying is this starting stable back line you described him? Are you saying Martinez comes back in and solves the issues?
No, I'm not saying that, Rory, because I think Kieran explained it better than I did. It's not the question of being out for a couple of games. We had long-term injuries to Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah.
The Matthias de Ligt.
He wasn't injured long-term. He was out for a spell of games here and there, but he wasn't out long-term.
Yeah, he was. He was out for spells.
For a few months.
Not to say, yeah. And then there was, NER at the start of the season. So
he got injured pre-season last year, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
If they were fit, right, who starts, Maguire or de Ligt?
It's a toss-up for me.
It's a toss-up. I think that Ruben will look at both of them in pre-season. Because Maguire, to be fair to him, you know, we all say build that statue. Like, he has shown up.
Yeah, he was starting season last season. You
know, and it's if de Ligt, even if de Ligt is going to be the first choice, you know, he's not, and Maguire's not a bad. It's not a bad rotation to have the experience and the quality that he has shown in the last season when he could have took the money and he could have left the club.
Or even reverse that, Kieran. If Maguire's the starter, de Ligt's not a bad backup either. So it's a toss-up for me.
Not by a stretch. I think Aidan Heaven surprised a lot of people last season. Like, you know, for his age, I think he looks
very composed.
Pretty decent.
I think he looks very good. But the point I'm trying to make here is what we're saying is Harry Maguire would start. It's a toss-up who starts between Maguire and de Ligt. There's no real drop-off in quality of either starts, true?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lindor was fit for most of the back end of last season. He had that spell out injured, then he came back and he was fit for most of the last season, yeah?
Most of.
Dalot and Mazraoui, both fit. Patrick Dorgu, fit. So again, I make the point to you guys, the only person that's going to come back into the back line when fit is Lisandro Martinez. So what are we talking about? Who are we saying is this established back line that will start, that is going to fix Manchester United's problems, when we're saying and agreeing for once that 4 of the back line played for most of the end of last season and United were dog shit. They could not defend. They kept conceding goals. They didn't look as if they understood the 3 at the back and the 2 wing backs. Andrew Onana kept spilling the ball into his own net. So what are we talking about?
I was just answering the question. I was just, from what we have.
This is Rory's MO. He tries to trick you up until then you agree with him and you just give in.
I'm trying to make you see that what you're saying is nonsense. In a sense that you're saying that there's a back line that can be established for Manchester United, right? And when I tell you that the back line was established at the end of last season, you're shaking your head and saying you don't agree. But tell me, what is Man United's established back line? Who starts?
But we need to establish that back line.
Yeah.
Did we not try to do that last year?
We've been trying it for years.
I mean, what's going to change next? Do you know? It's the same play. Like, can you not see my point? It's the same players playing the same system. But what are we saying? It's going to click next year and be better. Andrew Onana is not an issue anymore because Andrew Onana is going to have a consistently starting Matthijs de Ligt and Lenny de Joro, who played with Andrew Onana last season and were utter bullshit. But don't worry about it because we're hitting the reset button and we're going to let fucking fantasy overtake logic, and next year it'll be different.
Don't you twist words, Rory, because we didn't say
No.
that Andrew Onana wasn't a problem. We said he's not the main problem.
He's not the biggest. Not the biggest.
He's
but
not the biggest problem.
you know-
Our biggest problem, like, just end this now, right? He is a problem, but not the main problem. Our problem last season was the lack of goals.
the whole team was a problem.
Yeah.
Manchester United have 6 people that could perform the back line to protect us in goals, okay? I am not saying this for Andrew Onana. I agree with you. He's not the biggest problem. But what I'm saying is I think your logic is a wee bit flawed in the sense that you're not seeing the bigger issue, that Andrew Onana is the crack in the dam that will bust open first next season and allow Manchester United to slip into the bottom half of the table. Because once he goes underconfident, there is no backup. Altay Bayindir is as bad as he is. Tom Heaton will not start for Manchester United. So what the point I'm trying to make is not that we need to replace Andrew Onana and Andrew Onana staying is going to be the worst thing in the world, Mum. Having Andrew Onana stay with the current defenders is an issue. You
It is
either
an issue.
concede now that you're not getting Martinez and that Onana is staying and you have to sign defenders, or you damn this football club to the bottom half of the table next year. Because that defence cannot play with that goalkeeper, and signing Cunha and Mbeumo, which was my original point that we've spent 15 minutes discussing, will not change that.
No, because I think the confidence comes from the keeper. Your defence is going to be as confident as the guy who's behind you. And, you know, we can say in their own individual right, De Ligt's a good defender, Maguire's a good defender, Aidan Heaven's a gem we have found for 1 million. You know, we have good players there, but if you have a clown behind you, you're going to be second guessing and doubting yourself.
And if you want to compensate for the decline, you need a very, very strong backline. I think, I don't know if we made the point on the podcast, but definitely, Mum, when you and I were discussing it, I referenced Loris Karius, and Liverpool were able to take Karius the whole way to a Champions League final, and that's because they had a really strong defensive line, and that compensates for poor goalkeeping. Manchester United have, in my opinion, a weak defensive line with a weak goalkeeper. That to me is like 1 + 1 = 2 sometimes. It's spelling disaster. And again, like, that's fine. Onana can't go. Okay. Start looking at defenders. Start looking at... You can't have a 5'6" defender in who can't head the ball with a goalkeeper who cannot catch the ball. Is that not common sense?
Yeah, 110. And I think, you know, we don't know what this grand Brada is coming into anyway of a plan, of a backup and all the rest. But I think a lot... Well, I'm sure we'll get into the transfers and the rumours and bullshit a bit after 17 minutes. But, you know, it's like... You know, we're waiting on, like, we're all waiting on July 1st, July 2nd for this PSR or the thing to reset and signings and outgoings to come through.
Here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the first start of July, you know. And I'll share a few that I've seen, but, you know, we don't know. Maybe they are going to bring in a defender. Maybe they will see the light that we've seen. You know, that, you know, we can't rely on Onana. We need a top class centre back as well.
We do.
If we are going to persist with Onana.
And I believe that first class centre back is to come in and play. Lenny Joro, I trust to grow into this team and be a starter. The jury's out on the rest. Joro's the only one that I think cements his spot as the right centre back in a Ruben Amorim team. I honestly don't think that if we were having this discussion with Ruben Amorim now and we said, look, in your ideal world, would you have Maguire, De Ligt, Heaven, Martinez starting those spots next season? He'd probably say no. He'd say Heaven's too young, Martinez is too small, and is going to cause issues because Pedro Leon and Dorgu are not going to come in and win headers on that side. So it's an issue with the goalkeeper net. And I don't think he would choose Maguire and De Ligt as his out-and-out pivot. I think they're just a bit slow for him. But so on to the rumours and bullshit that is not Andrew Onana. Another one I seen today, and it's not like me to get involved in the transfer windows, but I just love picking them apart. Victor Gyökeres didn't turn up for training, so that automatically made him a United player today.
Oh God, I didn't see that one actually.
He's linked the game. It's heavy.
I seen he's I seen he's like, he signed for Arsenal. I've seen that.
Or Juventus. Seen that one.
Oh, Gyökeres Juventus.
Yeah.
God,
Why are Juventus being so heavily linked with players?
I don't know. They're taking Sancho.
Yeah. That's all we need to concern ourselves with.
25 million. Take him.
25 minus 7 apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Manchester United will, after fees and stuff like that, they'll make about 13 million off the Sancho deal. So what it is it'll be 25 million pounds that they'll pay, but we have to pay Sancho 7 million to leave. And
Yeah,
apparently
I thought it was 4. Sorry.
Because
I read 4.
This contract is ridiculous because Juventus have the Italian wage cap. So they reckon that if you look at the figures, they can only get to about 170, 180 in Jadon Sancho, which means Sancho's given up 150 grand a week on his contract. So 150 grand a week over the weeks that he has left. It's insane. But
Yeah.
I think it equates to something like 12 point something million. But apparently the fee being discussed with Sancho is
Yeah,
So
I
don't
read similar things.
give him away for free. I don't care. Get rid of him now.
Yeah, just get him off the books.
Him, Rashford, that wee rat Garnacho on his West Ham, Aston Villa, whatever it was, t-shirt wearing bullshit.
Yeah.
Get them out. Don't allow them back in the train.
But that's really picked up speed today. I've noticed the Jadon Sancho one.
Yeah, they're all running with it.
Yeah, everyone's
It's
running
very
with it. The Eurosport Italia had started, but that's the first I seen it on.
I mean, it makes
Here,
sense for all parties. I think it's just the only hesitancy I have on that one is the financials. But
Yeah, and that he's willing to take a wage cut.
Yeah.
yeah, when to take a wage cut if we pay out the rest of his comp. You know,
Aye.
love these.
You know.
Thinking Jadon Sancho is willing to take a pay cut, right? And you see Man United fans on it. Oh, finally, Jadon Sancho, blah blah blah. Guys, we're paying him £7 million to leave after paying £80 million for him. Chill. This is probably one of the worst pieces of business in Manchester
Ever.
Probably in footballing history.
Worst deal ever.
Him and Anthony.
Paying him 330 grand a week for ages. Paid him to go out on loan to 2 different football clubs where we had to compensate for half the wages in both. And now we're going to pay him £7 million to leave. It is a financial disaster. But it doesn't affect PSR. And it actually adds to PSR because there is a fee coming in. So regardless of what we pay him, that isn't influenced by PSR. So just do it. Just do it.
And and if it does get that hefty wage off the books,
Yeah, his wages are a
a
beast.
big deal, And if United, 100%, and I think if United are doing deals like the Cunha one where the fee is split over a few years,
Usually
it
it's
don't-
anyway, isn't it?
yeah, it don't normally is. There's some more. It gives us a lot of wiggle room for more incomings. Now, I don't know what you guys have read, but apparently if the Mbeumo is done, they're looking for 4 more signings. That's the magic number I've been reading about.
It'd just be interesting to see who they move for because Mbeumo is the only thing that's concrete. Gyökeres isn't going to go away until it does go away, until Gyökeres comes out and makes his decision.
Ali Watkins.
So I sent this into the chat yesterday and I said no. Now I'm saying yes. I would take Ollie Watkins. I would. I seen a statistic that, and I completely forgot this, right? So Ollie Watkins and Brian Mbeumo played for Brentford together. And when Mbeumo and Watkins played together in that season, there was 42 goals between them. And the comments were about the telepathy and the understanding that Watkins would come deep and draw the defence out to allow Mbeumo in behind, or Mbeumo would hit the byline and pull it back for Watkins. That's ready-made chemistry to me.
I
With a
didn't
Premier
realise that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It flipped my head, Mum, because yesterday I was in your
Yeah,
account.
it's flipped mine now.
I thought,
Now-
but in a team that's really struggling to bond and stuff together, to bring in a striker that Brian Mbeumo is going to understand straight away, who has played in the Premier League, will understand the way Matheus Cunha plays because he's played against him. You could do a lot worse. But look, what Ollie Watkins will come down to is finances. How much do they want for Watkins?
43.
60 is the fee being reported. Now, apparently United aren't willing to pay 60 because he's 29 and the resale value, which that's the wording that they've used. But he's apparently
Is going for 60 million, but Ivan is worth 90.
yeah. Villa, apparently that's what Villa are looking. That's the price tag they're trying to put on him.
You can have it. 110, you can have it. £60 million for an English Premier League proven goal scorer. Yes.
60.
60, 110. Didn't they want 90 for Ivan Toney?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if Tony is worth 90, then surely Watkins is worth 60. And if you can drive them down closer to 50, I think that's...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You know, if Ollie Watkins is, in fact, open to coming to United and is interested in obviously you're like we're discussing reuniting with Mbeumo, striking that partnership up again. You know, if we can get it down to around 50, you would take a Premier League proven striker like Ollie Watkins. You know,
Mom, hit us with your mom logic. Ollie Watkins. What do you think?
Well, last night I said no, I would give him a wide berth, but I didn't realise the connection between him and Mbeumo.
None of that.
So, but 60 million? No.
yeah.
What would you rate Ollie Watkins at?
Around 40-ish, 45.
45.
Yeah. Max.
Joao Pedro just moved for 60.
Yeah, but Kieran said he's 29. There's no sell-on value with him.
He's 3 years left on his contract.
Yeah. Well, that's a factor as well, though, isn't it?
That's probably why.
Out of pure curiosity, right? And I asked this of a lot of football fans. Why do you care?
Because we're on a budget and we need more players.
Is that your thinking? So you can't spend 60
That's my logic, yes.
But do you not just trust that Ruben Amorim and Jason Wilcox will have thought that out?
Of course,
I would hope.
Jason Wilcox and Amorim, not so much Amorim, but Barada and that, the board are relying on sales. They're relying on the
You know, but why do we care?
They have to. Because we want
You know,
quality players in.
A lot of people do this and work and stuff today. And just out of curiosity, I remember sitting at the desk earlier today and thinking, why do people get so bogged down in the financials? Ollie Watkins is cracking saying that 40 wouldn't do it at 60. Why do you care?
I told you why I care.
You're not
It's because
paying
the
for it.
budget.
If
You
we
don't
get-
understand. You don't know what the budget is. The budget could be 100 million. The budget could be 200 million. It could be 300 million. You don't know what it is.
Yes, that's true. But we've already spent, 120 million. And then there's another 60, there's 180 million.
But you're
That's just for 3 players, surely.
yeah, but you're adding figures onto an imaginary budget because you don't know what United's budget is. Again, to the point,
Can't see
if
it
Jason
being
Wilcox and Ruben Amorim decide to pay £60 million tomorrow for Ollie Watkins, right, or £40 million for Ollie Watkins, will you only be happy if it's the 40 million and not happy if it's the 60?
It's not
No.
my money.
Yeah, I agree. It's not like. But you said there are no one signing for 60 million. Like, I don't know. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, where does that logic come from?
Not
What-
the-
I
even
would
know.
value him at 60 million. I don't think he's a 60 million pound player.
An English Premier League player who plays as an England international.
English tax, United tax.
Yeah, and see, this is it.
Joao Pedro just signed for 60 million, an unproven Brazilian coming from Brighton, but we can't pay 60 million for Ollie Watkins. I think that's. See, when Kieran said 60 million, I thought, God, I was expecting 80, 90.
You know, but I do get where I do get where fans are coming from though. Is the whole not wanting to be taken. See, after Hoyland and Anthony and the Maguire fee and Pogba, you don't want to be this culture of us being
overpriced.
of United being overpriced and being made look like mugs in the transfer market. I mean, taking the piss out of. I think that's the angle that a lot of United fans, including myself, don't get me wrong, there's nothing worse than when you're trying to be positive and you go for a player and they end up playing way more than what we should have, and then it's a flop or
and
they
then
turn
they'll
into.
fall flat in their face.
It stings a bit. You're shopping, you're having the banter with other fans and other fans of other teams, and you're having the crack, and you're like, you paid fucking 90 million for Anthony. For a fidget spinner, it kind of is like you want to be taken seriously in the transfer market and doing good business and the players proving what they were paid for.
And up in
But
the
that's not solely on the player. Do you know what I mean?
It's not. No, it's not.
For £60 million, right? And Manchester United don't. So it's say Manchester United go into the next season, the midfield's awful, the defence is awful, they're conceding, they're losing goals, and Ollie Watkins can't score goals. I find it very unfair to turn around and say, Ollie Watkins is a flop. No, Ollie Watkins is not a flop. United are shite.
Yeah, but that's the way.
Tough. Anthony's not a bad player because he was phenomenal for Gaddis. Maybe that was his level in Manchester United wasn't, but Anthony's not a bad player. You know,
No.
many's a player has gone on from the graveyard of Manchester United and turned into good players. And I totally get what you're saying and stuff like that. But if you're going to sign Ollie Watkins, I trust the Wilcox and Amorim will have sat and had a conversation and gone, this is RDA. 29 years of age, £60 million. The brilliant thing about being 29 years of age is he's in his pomp for 3-4 years, and it gives Rasmus Højlund exactly enough time to develop into a 25, 26-year-old more complete striker. And as Ollie Watkins gets older in life, Ollie Watkins can transition out of the team, will understand how to play at Manchester United, and he takes the bench spot for Rasmus Højlund coming in. So we're almost buying the progression route that we should have had for Rasmus Højlund that we haven't had before, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
You get Victor Gyökeres, right? Victor Gyökeres is going to want to be the striker for 6-7 years. Now, if you can get Gyökeres, I'm not saying to not get Gyökeres. Although I'm not sold on Gyökeres. You know my feelings on him. I don't understand how you go failure at Coventry, failure at Brighton. You're fantastic in Portugal. Now you're the next big thing. I don't get that. But anyway, you bring in Gyökeres at 26 years of age, right? Højlund's 22. Gyökeres is there for 5-6 years. So Rasmus Højlund will be 28 before he really comes into the squad. That's not natural progression. We were meant to sign Rasmus Højlund when we had a Zlatan. That would have been natural progression. Zlatan comes in 36, 37, and I mean, I know we say 60 million for Ollie Watkins, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic came in 5-6 years older and ripped the Premier League a new one.
That's Zlatan, Rory.
But it was. Do you know what? I watched highlights in this year the other night. It was Zlatan, mum, right? It was. But what doesn't get given enough credence is the efforts of Wayne Rooney and Paul Pogba that season to make Zlatan. Pogba and Rooney.
Pogba especially.
Pogba had a telepathy with Zlatan that just was magic.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful to watch.
So why can't that be Watkins and Mbeumo?
Could be. If we
Brentford.
That's what I'm saying. If we get Ollie Watkins for 60 million and he bangs in 20 goals, they don't give a shit. It worked.
Yeah.
The gamble, and we don't. We're not paying the money.
He's played against these defences before, and he'll not shy out of a row, and he's not going to get wet in a game, and he has a bit of bite to him, Ollie Watkins, and a wee bit of a snarl, and I want that at United. I want that.
That's what we're saying. Yeah, a bit of fight. I think that trio of players are all Premier League proven, high scoring, high assisting Premier League players.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've been crying out for that. I feel
like that's the transfer strategy this window, and I like it.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to allude to in the first 15 minutes. I know I'm not going to mention his name again, but I'm glad. No, I'm not. He who shall not be named. Him. Him.
The one who does nets, Kieran.
Him, that we fell between the sticks. But yeah, no, I'm glad that we are going for the goals first. Is what my big thing is. Like, that's the most thing we even if we're getting beat and we're being shit, and if we can entertaining football, scoring goals left, right, and centre, at least we have something to shout about.
Yeah, I mean, he divides opinion, Ollie Watkins. I think that's the beauty of him, and especially in football. Like, I knew rightly when I seen it, I was like, my mum's going to have an absolute corner here. This is going to send her under. That United are genuinely linked to Ollie Watkins. I looked at it, and I think I wrote out a message in the chat.
You two do.
But I just knew it. I was looking and I was like, oh my god, 60 million, 29, and he's English. Mum's going to flip.
Oh, I am not anti-English, crying out loud.
I know it's the Irish voice, but we don't hate.
No, we don't.
No, it was just the fact that it's like no other 29-year-old would warrant 60 million. But see, when an English player crops up to Manchester United, I know my mother, she just looks at the figures and it's like, that's a disgrace.
No,
that's a joke.
How dare they?
Remember the Branthwaite conversations, Kieran, when she completely lost it?
Oh yeah, that was brilliant.
Derek Branthwaite probably and then it's the whole like doth protest too much. She's like, I don't do that. Yes,
no, I don't.
Branthwaite, 80 million.
It's called the Irish voice, even though we play in Manchester. Right. I'm looking at the notes, guys. Another one that I've seen crop up that seemed genuine enough is I struggle not to laugh there, sorry. Marcus Rashford, Bayern Munich.
Yeah, seen that.
Where's that come from?
It's just come out of the blue today that I've seen.
And
You know,
what do you think of that?
Well, I've seen. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, me?
Yeah.
Oh, was it not your man Florian Plattenberg tweeted that?
He says a lot of stuff and gets away with it because he's in Europe.
Yeah.
So if he gets it wrong in the English market, nobody really takes an interest in
Nobody
it.
notices.
Apparently, it's because Barcelona are going for Nico Williams.
I heard they're signing Nico Williams, but there's a registration issue.
I don't know, but and they're trying to get Marcus Rashford on a loan deal near the end of the window if they can squeeze him in. And the club United want him sold, preferably sold. But then there was talk about Tottenham as well. We're in for him.
For Rashford?
Yeah.
Okay, so Tottenham is utter bullshit. Okay, Bayern Munich, there might be a shred of truth, but to me it just looked like really lazy journalism when the bid for Luis Diaz was rejected.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Put a bid in, it's rejected. Luis Diaz linked to Bayern Munich. Who else was linked to Barcelona as well as Luis Diaz? Oh, Marcus Rashford. Rashford's going to Munich.
1 + 1 = 4.
Yeah, but sure, wasn't that the
That's
case
right.
for Barcelona as well? Luis Diaz, it was preference over Marcus Rashford. If they couldn't get Diaz, they were going for Rashford, and now they're signing Nico Williams.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I just
It's
don't get it.
all muppetry.
I mean, this is where we laugh and joke and be like, I'd love to be a journalist. Like, imagine your boss coming in and going, Rory, any stories today? You're going a bit quiet. Check Sky Sports. Luis Diaz bid rejected by Liverpool, Bayern Munich bid. Rashford's going to Munich. Why
I will
not?
have a cracker for you in a minute. The latest.
Oh.
Yeah. Are you waiting, Rory?
Well, what position? No, right? Because this could
Tease
ruin
it,
the
tease
podcast.
it.
I'm
No,
already on the
tease it,
edge.
yeah,
Right? That
sorry,
argument
yeah.
earlier now set me off. Okay, what
No
position?
reveal.
Midfield, but he can play box to box.
Country.
I'm simmering. What country?
Nationality.
He's Spanish.
Oh, I know.
What league does he play in?
No, they'll be giving it away now, Rory.
I know.
What league does he play in, Mum?
They'll be giving it away.
What league
Yes,
does he play in, Mum?
Go
French
on.
league.
The French league, and he's Spanish.
Yeah, midfielder.
It'll be nobody from PSG because they wouldn't sell us their players. So who they got? They've got Ruiz and oh yeah, fuck. Not
Yeah. Yeah.
Meltdown.
wins the Champions League, potentially win the Club World Championship, going to United.
Yeah.
Like,
Never.
I laughed and joked about
And this is
the
coming out of
Bayern Munich rumour,
Spain.
but
This is the Spanish press that United are readying a bid for Fabian Ruiz.
why? Why?
Indeed.
Like, why would right? We'll skip over that one. That didn't happen. That's ridiculous. Why would Fabian Ruiz even entertain Manchester United as an option to go into?
You just love transfer season, don't you?
Oh,
Are they trying to make the point maybe that he's not starting, Mum?
They didn't make anything. It was just all, as I said, I can't even remember the name of the Spanish the journalist or the paper, but this was that United are interested in Fabian Ruiz.
I mean, God.
Because he wants a new challenge, apparently. There's a challenge.
There'll be a
for
challenge,
you,
all right.
United. The ultimate challenge.
the biggest challenge ever.
Yeah.
But I see
He's
more
a
on the
cracking
lines of
player, though. He really
Yeah,
is.
okay,
a
he is,
cracking
yeah.
player.
more of the thing. If we can get boys out the door, it's more along the lines of Ederson from Atlanta and Wharton from Palace.
Yeah.
I would take Adam Morton. I'm a big fan of Adam Morton's.
Adam
Has
Morton,
Mark, has Mark Gay gone to Arsenal?
Pardon?
Huh?
Mark Gay gone to Arsenal?
Apparently they don't want to sell Mark Gahey. They're fighting tooth and nail. Gahey, I think, is at the end of his interest in Crystal Palace, but Palace are fighting it with all they have.
Right.
A player, indeed,
Oh,
he
I
would have been. Indeed,
So that's another one.
he has a release clause of 9 million.
Why not?
He just didn't.
That's a very low. Release
He
clause.
just wasn't great last year.
He's
Again, he's a
maybe
very.
a foil.
Do you know what? I would say in Wilfried Ndidi, if you could do engineer a move like Arsenal's, I think one of the most underrated signings of this transfer window will be Norgard to Arsenal. The fact that they let Thomas Partey go and got Norgard in for what, £9 million or £10 million. If you were able to do that with Wilfried Ndidi, Casemiro goes to Saudi Arabia, you get all those wages off the books. You subsidise that with a £9 million for Wilfried Ndidi. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, apparently they're looking to replace the Ericsson's left, so they need another midfielder, obviously, in the squad. So it could be something to watch. Or Rios is the other one that seems to be all over the place. Richard Rios, don't full name.
He's
Like
in
he's
there.
having a good tournament. Are they still in it, that crowd? Palmeiras.
Yeah,
He just
Are they still in it?
I think they are.
it just worries me a bit that I didn't know about him until this tournament.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing about tournaments. You know,
Yeah.
if you're any good, sort of like good scout, you don't go to tournaments. You scout them through the year in their leagues. But
Oh,
he's
100%.
having a really good tournament, really good.
And even the best of scouting systems and the best of teams sometimes get the wool pulled over their eyes by people's performances in these major tournaments. The real one that sticks in my head is I can remember the lad's name, James Rodriguez.
Yeah,
He lit up that tournament for Colombia, went to Real Madrid, couldn't cut it, and ended up at Everton.
that's right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if that's not an example of doing proper investigative work into whether the player suits or not. Like,
Yeah.
we by Rios
I
does
don't know.
have cracking players here, but I don't on tournament, or have they been looking at him? Well, who knows? There was one other one, but I can't think of. I don't have it written down, but I remember looking at it going, seriously. And it was for a striker.
Is that the guy from Belgium, Rory? Plays in the Belgian league
Yes.
for Ghent.
Yeah, I seen it come up and I thought, God, I've never heard of him. But he's linked with Manchester United. But yes, anyway, so we kind of add into the second segment, but we'll spend a couple of minutes on it now. Does the lack of progress worry you at the minute, or are we still?
I'm starting to shake a bit. I'm starting to get a bit worried. I'm trying to keep my cool, but it's it's 2nd of July. The players are coming back in the pre-season training now. This start of next week, Monday, Tuesday, and then we fly out for pre-season. We've only Cunha really confirmed, and if you want to count Leon, then 2 players, and yeah,
saying today,
yeah,
didn't he?
and
Isn't he
nobody out the door yet. So it's hard not to get a bit worried about this stage when we've been chasing him Wemo for a month. But it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
Probably
First
that's nearly
pre-season
over the
game is
line,
Saturday fortnight, so
Yeah,
United play
19th.
Leeds.
And
A
he
fortnight
gets,
from this Saturday.
I know he wants as many in the door for pre-season as you can training, but I suppose if you're flipping it the other way, like last season we didn't sign our first player until the 11th of July. I suppose if you want to look at it that way, maybe okay, we've got 2 done in the door, third one possibly with their set a deadline for before Friday this week, so potentially 3 before.
Yeah, but the fact is, Kieran, that as you said, they're all coming back next week. They're all coming back from their holidays.
Pick up.
I would love to see
Yeah.
things starting to move swiftly then. Yeah, the sales and, the players coming in. I think that's when you'll see, maybe next week, hopefully. We'll just,
It's hard to know. Yeah,
hoping that
they sound like
this is the way it'll pan out.
just
That the
dominoes are gonna
stuff
fall.
lined up and it's just ready to go. Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of hopium and pink
I know.
cloud, puppy clouds,
That's a lot
and
of copy on my part, but
Elmo and Big Word.
yeah.
But here I'm usually the big cloud, but I completely agree with both of you. I don't think it's time to panic yet. I think what is annoying me more is that there doesn't seem to be any more defined targets outside of Brian and Buemo, but maybe they're just trying to take it deal by deal.
I think they're
and
trying to focus. I think they're trying to focus on getting that done, completed. finito, because
Yeah, there could be a lot going on behind the scenes. A lot.
So, okay, right, to finish this segment off, because we did run over on rumours and bullshit with that dramatic argument at the start, which Mum is completely responsible for. You were golden. You were
Yeah.
golden. You were doing that thing where you do that
I
condescending thing.
wasn't golden.
This is Rory's MO.
I wasn't
This is what
golden.
Rory does.
Wind them up.
that's all blame negative Rory.
Thanks for better Ewan.
I
Yeah.
swear to God, I actually have bruised my shin kicking the leg of the table underneath. I was going to kill her. Right, so where do you think Manchester United, right, in an ideal scenario, right, we'll play Kieran's scenario out. Thursday, Friday, Brian Mbeumo comes through the door. Matthias Cunha, Brian Mbeumo. Where do you think Manchester United's focus shifts next? Where are you expecting positionally the next focus to go to? We'll not focus on players or anything because we don't really know where they'll go. But where do you think is their next priority?
Striker.
You think the same one, Mum?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they will. I think they have to. I agree with you, Rory. It's not fair on Rasmus Højlund to shoulder that burden of being Man United striker at that age. No.
Yeah.
They need somebody maturer in that will lead the line for United and then ease Rasmus Højlund in. Not ease him in.
More impact off the bench,
He's a
maybe.
man, I suppose.
Learn
But,
the trade in the Premier League.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just take a wee bit of pressure off the lad. Just, sit him on the bench. If he's having a hard time, he's going through a patch, whatever, he's very young, and to just let him chill out instead of putting all that onus on him.
110. Just enjoy it.
Although, I'm sorry to interrupt, Rory. Those two players that they're buying in could make a world of difference to Rasmus Højlund.
I agree. I really agree.
A world of difference.
But I think that's a brilliant point, Mum. It's just relieve the pressure on Rasmus Højlund. Just
Yeah.
get Højlund back to a point where you're sitting with your striker up front, your recognised goal scorer, a Watkins, Gyökeres, something like that. And when Højlund's coming off the bench, he's coming in to start, just
Miserable.
let him start to enjoy it again. He just looked... I mean, I have to
Yeah.
say, the one positive I took for Rasmus Højlund last season is he kept going.
Mm.
I thought he tried to hold it up well in that final. I thought he threw himself in and he mucked himself in well in that final. And that was the final game after what has been a torrid season with horrible abuse thrown at the lad. He's a young fella coming in from Italy, Danish lad, and I think he handled it all really, really well. He still came out of it with his head held high, and I think he'll have a right go at it next season,
No.
albeit I don't think he should be the starting striker.
Mm.
But then again, guys, I won't be shocked if he is, because I just don't know.
But you know what else I think, Rory, as well? What happened to Rasmus Højlund? The lad was feeding on scraps, Kieran. And when he got his chance, he was too eager. He just made some of the wrong choices at times. But he didn't get enough opportunities
Clear cut
in a
chances.
match to... Do you know the way that ratio hit and miss? The way the strikers, that ratio he was getting very, very limited chances.
Yeah, but I've never seen a Manchester
Very
United
grateful.
team. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mum, right? Have you ever seen a Manchester United team in your lifetime, right? A successful one, we'll say. It's had a 22-year-old lead the line with no backup. I mean, even in the days of Wayne Rooney was surrounded by, he had Carlos Tevez in for a spell. He had Berbatov in for a spell. Radamel Falcao was in there. Zlatan Ibrahimovic played in there. Ronaldo was there to offset Rooney. And
Danny
scored.
Welbeck.
Robin van Persie, God, I nearly forgot, was there with Wayne.
Chicharito.
There was always someone there to help Wayne Rooney break into that team and be the best version of Wayne Rooney that he could be. And this is not a comparison from Wayne Rooney and Rasmus Højlund. I'm just saying, it must be so hard to be the main man at Manchester United with Joshua Zirkzee coming out and saying, "Well, I'm not really a striker, and they say me, but I'm not a nine. Højlund's the 9, I'm the false 9." And Højlund's sitting going, "Right, well, cheers, bro."
Those
Because I'm really
strikers you mentioned, Rory, were strikers on a relatively successful side. We're at rock bottom, and that lad is expected to lead the line for Man United.
Yeah.
And all that pressure and all that vitriol that's going on in social media within our own fan base.
Yeah, it's our own fan base abusing them. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Just let Rasmus Højlund develop in the way that Rasmus Højlund needs to develop. So, Kieran,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I think, you know,
where do they focus next?
apart from the striker. Do you mean, yeah?
No, you can pick a striker you want. Just explain your reasoning for why you're picking a striker. And
Yeah, like, I have to agree.
you
I
think they
have to
actually
say, you know, after Mbeumo, I think it has to be a striker. I'm just going back and backing up. I'm trying to back up my own arguments earlier on. Like, you know, goals, I think, is the biggest problem. And there's been more rumours and bullshit surrounding strikers this past month or two than any other position, which is obviously, there must be something to it that, you know, Manchester United are going to be focusing. It's like they're trying to line up a striker after Mbeumo gets over the line. So it logically looks like they're looking for that out and out number 9. Once they finally get this deal over the line this week, hopefully. You know, and I do agree, and with both of you, I would take Ollie Watkins. Like I said that to you, we were texting about it during the week. You know, and then obviously the Brentford connection with Mbeumo and Watkins could be a big plus as well in our favour. I'm excited, and I hope it does come off. You know, fingers crossed.
Yeah. No, I could see it. It's logical. It's definitely logical. I would say I think United will prioritise a midfielder before the striker because strikers are so hard to get. I think we might see a dual negotiation going on where United will go for a midfielder next. But there's never smoke without fire. Manchester United must be interested in a striker because it can't just be, and I'm a great believer that sometimes they just make up stories that are based on plausible fact. Højlund did bad last year, so United must be looking for a striker. So we don't really need any tangible fact because if we put out the United are looking for a striker, everyone will eat it up because surely they're looking for a striker after Højlund's bad season. You know, there doesn't have to be. United might not be looking for a striker, but I just think it's a midfielder next. I think one of the things that annoyed me about last season was a real lack of industriousness in that midfield, just energy. I looked at PSG playing the final. Ruiz, Vitinha, Neves. My God, they did not stop. It was impressive to watch.
They were mesmerising.
They swarm you, and it's this interlinking passing movement that gets the ball straight up to the forwards, and then they push up the pitch to help their forwards should it need be. Give me the ball back if you can't get it, and I'll find the intricate pass. And it's just thought, no one at United does that. We don't have one of them. I'm watching 3 play for PSG, the best team in Europe.
100%. And I think like we've chatted about it before. Like, you know, I'm looking at. I'm sure we've all been watching Kobe Manu preparing for the season. You know, he seems to be doing some really, like, you know, he seems to be getting lean and better shape and better, you know, working on athleticism and fitness and like that bit, trying to be that midfielder that Ruben Amorim wants. That we all know he wants. He wants athleticism, mobility, box to box, press, and you know that kind of profile. And
yeah, I read an article, Kieran, sorry to cut across you, that said that Ruben Amorim was disgusted at the lack of fitness in Manchester United. The lack of that they were able to cover.
Didn't he run nuts with them?
I think
remember that on the all turned into superstars the next game.
I think.
That's right. Yeah, the lost.
I think there's 2 different. It depends what you see as fitness, I suppose. So I think Erik ten Hag was like, if you say fitness to somebody, right? Somebody can interpret fitness as size, bulk, strength, your physicality, your ability to deal with the game. I think that's where Erik ten Hag's Dutch logic came into it, and he wanted the team warriors, you know, big battling players that were able to knock the ball around and play possession-based football.
No,
I don't think that's what Ruben Amorim means by fitness. I think Ruben Amorim looks at them and thinks, God, you're very body heavy here, boys. You know, start to lean down. We need to run some hard yards. Almost less physicality, but more of the continental style of harassing people like we see with PSG. PSG are on a physical side. They win the ball back because they are on you when they lose the ball. They swarm at you to play. And I think that's what the modern game is transcended into. It's coming away from that big physical battles and stuff in midfield and into a fitness test. Like, who can go for 90 minutes? You know what I mean? And when Kieran's talking there, I'm thinking, Yeah, you're back on.
I pointed that out to you last week.
Xerxes?
He's lost some beef. The
He
photo
has
side by
lost
side, I couldn't believe it when I
beef.
seen it. You know?
Oh my god, he's like a different man. Like all of that kind of stodgy kind of Joshua Xerxes is into this really lean, muscular kind of. Xerxes looks like he'd rip you apart.
That's what we want.
Yeah, but Xerxes looks. Dare I say it, Zlatan-esque, that tall, imposing, thin, lean figure. He looks very muscly, mum. Like very ready to go, as in tussling and running the hard yards. And I thought Joshua Xerxes looked like a clumsy fridge when he ran with the ball last season. And he would bang into people and come out with it and be like, that was a brilliant run by Xerxes, wasn't it? And I'm like, he's just falling into people, but he's too big for the people that. Like, if Kieran falls into me, I'd probably fall over. Like, I couldn't stand up to Kieran shoulder to shoulder. That's not brilliant football. That's just Kieran's more physical being than I am. That's Joshua Xerxes, you know what I mean? Like, so I didn't.
Yeah, but
he
do
didn't
you know what I think we lacked last season was stamina as well. I thought our stamina levels were shocking. And I think maybe that's
Well, that's the thing. He has one game a week
to improve on
this season.
Just see.
That's going to be a big thing.
Yeah, well, I think that'll stand by it, by the team.
Do you mean their lasting power? They were tired at the end of games.
Yeah, or they couldn't be arsed running about and chasing the ball.
I suppose that falls into fitness then, yeah. That could be the fitness issue. Maybe he's just not happy that they flagged. Okay, well, that's approaching the end of our podcast for this week. More of an argumentative discussion this week.
Oh.
Again, I'm
Just 1 minute, Rory, can I interject?
No.
Please, Rory. I'm
No,
not
you're
giving out to you
promise.
now. I'm not going to pull you up on anything, right? But the guy's name that we were talking about, he's Nigerian, the Ghent guy, right, is Tulu Arokodare.
That's not who I read.
Tulu
Butchered.
Arokodare. Are you thinking of the Swiss
Did you make
guy?
that up?
That sounds made
No,
up.
it didn't. No, I didn't make it up. I'm probably butchering his name now. But he is, do you know who he reminds me of?
Oh,
What do you call that guy? Agbondra Horde. You know, that he should be a basketball player. You know, he's really tall. He's really, really tall. 6'3" or 6'4" or something like that.
no.
I don't know if I want to
Be
strike
sure
or
there's
not
something.
pronounce his name. Say it again.
It's not Jasari.
What?
Arden Jasari.
That's
No.
not
That
what
was
you said
definitely
the
wrong.
first time.
Wrong with the next
No,
one.
he's a different one now. Because I'm really going to confuse you. He's
Twice.
Swiss, yeah. But this
It
is the
sounds
name
like
that
you're
I got
really
last
like
week.
Iranian politicians. Like you've got the wrong podcast and you're on talking about your Israel crop again. And you're talking about like Iranian politicians, and yeah, that guy sounds like a board game that I try to pronounce when I'm drunk at Christmas. I don't know if I want. Imagine trying to get that on the back of
Imagine
your
twice
top.
that. Like
How many letters are in his name? That is one. See if he actually takes
9.
off. That is 9. Awesome, brilliant.
That's a
Thank you much,
certain.
estimated for costing
I don't
us
even-
fortune on Christmas tops. Really appreciate that one, guys. I bet-
Yeah, well, I hope we do sign him. I hope we do sign him, and I hope that's with fair requests.
only if Ollie was still.
Well,
We're going to have a competition. How much is that going to cost me?
I was gutted. Like I remember whenever Emmis came, and I was like, "Yes, definitely getting him down in the back of the hop." And I was sitting thinking, "It's going to cost a fortune." Charged with a letter now. But look, that is the
I
end
don't
of
know
our.
what he is here.
Sabotage.
You do that, mother.
I will.
That's going to be the end of the podcast for this week, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you check us out on our socials, and we will be back next week, hopefully with positive news on Brian and Wamo, and we'll
Yeah.
probably still talk about Calculated 6 weeks from now, but let's see what happens.
Right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.